welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, days ahead of the winter session of Parliament, when the Waqf Amendment Bill is likely to be taken up, a startling allegation of land grab has come to light from Karnataka. A congregation of farmers from Vijayapura in North Karnataka have alleged that their properties and farmland were being claimed by Waqf. The delegation of farmers met BJP MP Tejasvi Surya and registered their complaint that the Waqf board was claiming more than 15,000 acres of land in their district. Tejasvi Surya said that the land was registered in the Waqf's name without any notice given to the farmers. BJP is also alleged that for vote bank politics and minority appeasement, the Congress government has empowered the Waqf board with unbridled power. On the other hand, Congress has alleged that this was a BJP stunt ahead of by-polls as they wanted to create a divide in society before the upcoming elections. Listen into the war of words.
This entire problem is a creation of the Waqf Act, wherein the Congress governments in both 1995 and 2013 gave unbridled powers to the Waqf board.
किसानों का साथ इतना बड़ा अन्याय हो रहा है और कांग्रेस कहां खड़ी है? वोट बैंक के साथ, तुष्टीकरण के साथ, नॉट विद किसान। यही कांग्रेस का असली चेहरा है। इसीलिए जेपीसी में भी जिस प्रकार से वक्फ संशोधन का लगातार वो विरोध करते हैं।
Every time there is some kind of electoral or elections, they come up with these kind of divisive statements. What is his intention? His intention is to say that the government is appeasing the minorities, the Muslims, thereby creating a division for the forthcoming by-election.
People are very much more aware and enlightened these days. These sort of statements don't make any difference. Because people know that if anything has been done wrongfully, there is always government and there are courts who will redress those situations.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining us for more on this development is member of the Legislative Assembly of Karnataka, Rizwan Arshad of the Congress Party. Rizwan Arshad, thank you so much for speaking to us. You would have seen the allegations coming in from the Member of Parliament of Bengaluru South, that is Tejasvi Surya. Now, his allegation, in a sense, is that the unbridled powers given to the Waqf board have resulted in about 15,000 acres belonging to the farmers being claimed as Waqf land in Vijayapura district. How do you respond to this charge coming in from him?
As usual, Tejasvi Surya has misled everyone. He's misleading the people of the country because he is not sincere when he says that 15,000 acres belonging to farmers is being claimed by the Waqf board. He should present the clear picture. The clear picture is 14,600 acres belongs to the Waqf board according to the Gazette notification of the government. Out of the 14,600 acres, in the various land reform acts, nearly 12,500 acres were allotted to the farmers. And Waqf board accepted it and took the hit of 12,500 acres and left it for the farmers. The rest of the 2,100 acres, which was supposed to be with the Waqf board, and it has only 700 acres in its possession, and 1,400 acres is encroached by the different people. So here the fact of the matter is, today the Tahsildar has issued a notice to these people and they have asked them that if you are the real owners, please furnish your documents. It is not, they are not displacing them, they are not throwing them out of their possession or nothing. Tahsildar has said that out of 14,600 acres, already 12,500 acres was taken away from Waqf board and given to the people, and the rest of 2,100 acres which was confirmed to the Waqf board, out of which only 700 remains with the Waqf board, 1,400 is again been encroached by the people. If you are the real owners, please come and furnish the documents. So what is wrong in that? It's a due process of law, which the Revenue Department is following. And for that, if they are really genuine owners, if Mr. Surya feels that they are genuine owners, let him represent them and furnish the documents. If they are the real owners and the documents establish that, they'll be confirmed as the owners. What is wrong? If they are not the owners and if they are encroachers, definitely they have to face the law. So where is this whole hullabaloo where Mr. Surya wants to create and paint as if that Waqf board is the encroacher. In fact, it has thousands of acres of land.
Right.
So
let me just ask you one more question from what his claims are. His claim is that the Karnataka Minority Affairs Minister, Mr. Zamir Ahmed Khan, has recently met with revenue officers from certain districts and directed them to register properties claimed by the Waqf board within 15 days. Now, the question is also that some of these farmers have met some of the other ministers in the Karnataka government, the Congress government for that matter, and after they started receiving these notices. The question that then arises is that isn't it, this is something that the government can very easily do, determine which of these notices are false, which of these notices are correct, because there are also certain Waqf board members who say that some of the notices might have been misdirected or wrongly sent.
See, if the notices have not reached the farmers, see, first of all, Mr. Khan is our Minority Affairs and Waqf Minister, and it is his duty to safeguard the Waqf property. Two, he cannot direct that within 15 days do this. He has said start the process of law, serve the notices, elicit opinion and documentation from the people who are there, and if they are found to be encroachers and not the genuine owners, the due process will take care. If somebody is aggrieved by the Tahsildar's court, he has the opportunity to appeal to the higher court. So there are checks and balances in the system. There is a system for appeal which can be filed in the higher courts. So there are proper forums which will hear them.
Okay.
There is no arbitrary, no out of the box kind of a high-handed thing.
Right. Why this is very significant also, sir, I will ask you, is that you would have seen the Karnataka Minority Commission report when Mr. Anwar Maripadi was leading it. The claim in that Minority Commission report is that over a dozen senior Congress leaders, CM Ibrahim, N.A. Harris, Roshan Beg and even Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge are alleged to have encroached on Waqf property. Do you think that this is not pertinent in context of such a report that is out there in the public domain?
See, that report has been used to politicize and target individuals. I'm surprised because that report was given by Mr. Manapadi, who was the BJP leader, and today the central government headed by the Mr. Modi has brought in amendments, which has gone to the select committee of the parliament, wherein they are weakening the Waqf board to an extent that all those encroachers whom Mr. Manipadi claims that they are encroachers will get the land for free, because Waqf board will lose all the land to the encroachers. If they are serious about Manipadi report, or if they are serious about encroachments on the Waqf land, they should strengthen the Waqf law. Now they are diluting the law, helping the encroachers to encroach the land. So this is a very big contradiction and hypocrisy of the BJP, which is exposed by the amendments they have brought in parliament.
Rizwan Arshad, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and speaking so candidly on this very, very contentious issue. I'm afraid the next few days perhaps you're going to hear a lot more on this, but thanks so much for joining us this evening. Let's take this across to our guest. Joining us now is Rohan Gupta, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Vishnu Shankar Jain is advocate. Joining us, Karan Verma is an author. We also have with us Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst with us. Syed Aslam Pasha, political analyst, also joins us. And Atikur Rahman is also a political analyst. Let me start first and foremost with Rohan Gupta. Rohan Gupta, the legal advisor to the Karnataka government, Mr. Ponnanna, says that there are no documents to back the claims that have been made and that people must not fall prey to these allegations made for the by-poll elections. How do you respond to this charge coming from the Congress's side? Rohan Gupta.
This is clear-cut display of appeasement politics, Madhav. And this is going to happen wherever Indi Gathbandhan government is there. The abundant power which is given by Congress and other governments in past to Waqf board, they are under question today. And that is why they are opposing Waqf amendment bill. You cannot give so much of power to anybody where you can go to anybody's land, claim your things, and he has to prove that that is his land. And that is what has happened in Bangalore, in Karnataka. That just imagine the mindset of those families, Madhav, who are holding that land from 1930 till now. Somebody one day morning comes and tells, no, this is my land, and he has to prove that, no, this is not your land. So that is what the amendment bill is all about.
The larger debate is fine. Let's talk specifics of today's development, Rohan. Have you seen the documents? Do you know what are the documents on the basis of Mr. Surya has made these claims? Because the Congress is saying that there are no documents that prove what Mr. Surya is saying. That's their charge. I'm asking you, have you seen the documents? Is there enough evidence?
The documents are very clear that family was holding land from 1930, and now there is Waqf board. They are questioning. And one of the debates, I think Mr. Sayyad was that he accepted that this is a mistake by Waqf board, and they will take it back. That is what he told in that debate.
Which Mr. Syed? There are two Syeds on this panel.
Yes, he was there on other panel.
No, Syed Abbas or Syed Pasha?
No, Syed Abbas.
Syed Abbas, okay. His hand is going up. Syed Abbas, you have admitted that this is a historical wrong.
No.
As per the BJP spokesperson, and you're smiling.
No. I will reiterate my point. I'll make it again. Rohan Gupta is a dear elder brother of mine, so I'll make my statement again. As a matter of fact, my statement was an official statement made by Ms. Tabassum of the Vijayapura Waqf representation. Her statement was as follows: the land was marked as Waqf property by the state government, and this was documented in the Gazette. However, a few notices were mistakenly sent to farmers. If they have valid land records, Waqf board will not take any action against them. It was also the statement of Minister of Karnataka, Shri MB Patil G, who said, if the farmers have valid ownership records predating this, their lands will not be affected. As a matter of fact, he's also made a statement saying that he will personally next week meet the Deputy Commissioner and resolve this issue. That has been my statement. Now to coming to the most important point, I think the state government of Karnataka and also the ministers involved, the state Waqf board, the tribunal that we speak of, once any of the parties, be it the Waqf board or the individual parties, go to the tribunal, it is not necessarily that it will be won by Waqf board. Once they present their documents, many a times, even in Karnataka State Board of Awqaf, the Waqf board has lost the case and individual parties with the documents have won. So therefore, this does not subscribe to all the farmers, only those who have encroached the lands and
but
do
Mr.
not have
Abbas,
valid
the process
documents.
is the punishment. How can anybody just claim land that is being there in possession of any particular family for decades, if not centuries? You know, the entire process and the hassle of going through this tribunal itself is a harassment. Why should that be there in the first place for any citizen to undergo?
Well, if you encroach the land and you do not have the documents, you need to go through the procedure.
Now,
well, for those who have,
that's a big if, because you're saying citizens wins means that they're not encroached. That's the whole point I'm making.
yes, Madhav, with the same document, Ms. Tabassum, who's the Vijayapur Waqf representative, has said, if mistakenly it is sent to farmers who have the documents, valid property papers, it should not affect them. MB Patil Ji has also said, those with the land records predating this will have nothing to do with it. Only those farmers who do not have the valid documents, who have encroached upon the land of the Waqf
And what if they don't have valid documents for valid reasons?
Well, they must. Be it me, farmers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, must present documents. There are no two ways about it.
Okay. Let me bring in Vishnu Shankar Jain. Vishnu Shankar Jain, this is very interesting because I remember in an altogether different issue, there was a slogan that was chanted of Kagaz Nahi Dikhayenge. Now it appears the goalposts and the yardsticks have changed.
Yes.
Have they or have they not?
There is a very
One second, Abbas, I'll come to you, please. One by one. Yeah.
There is a very important saying in law: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now see how this thing has changed and why these arguments are made by the other side. Kindly see the reasoning behind it. The Congress government enacted the Places of Worship Act 1991. In that, the interpretation which is given by all the three learned friends which are on the other side is that you cannot go to the court to reclaim any monument or any place which is a site of a disputed structure like a temple or a mosque. On the other hand, within the span of 4 years, the Congress government brought the Waqf Act 1995, and under section 4, 5 and 6, any property can be declared as the Waqf property, and under section 40 subclause 1 and 40 subclause 3, they can declare any property as Waqf property. And now you have to challenge it, you have to go to the Waqf tribunal. So the point is, how do you have such power? Which provision of the constitution gives you this power? Whether this power is there with any other section of the society, with any other Sikh, Christian, Jain, Buddhist, any other community, you cannot have this power to declare any property as Waqf property. And kindly see, Madhav, today the Indian Parliament, they are claiming to the Waqf property. My friend will say Now the parliamentarians have to show the papers. I'm sorry, sir. Now you are saying that the Taj Mahal is also Waqf property. ASI is in appeal before the Supreme Court. The land of Allahabad High Court was declared as Waqf property. The Allahabad High Court went to the Supreme Court, matter got resolved there, and they were given alternate land. Then Surat Municipal Corporation has been declared as Waqf property.
Vishnu Jain, those are all very impassioned and perhaps valid arguments, but the question is this, that if they're doing it under the aegis of the 1974 amendment of the Waqf, if that's a gazette notification that on the basis of which they are making those claims, then it has a legal sanctity, does it not?
Look, absolutely not. Kindly see, it is completely against the provisions of the Constitution, and let me make my argument good. Under a section, under Article 323A and under Article 323B of the Constitution, there is a list which is provided on the basis of which tribunals can be made. Waqf tribunal does not fall in that list, Madhav. Point number one. Point number two, under Article 300A, which is right to property, you cannot have any law, any central law which is in violation of the Constitution. So this Waqf Act 1995, when it has given unchecked and unbridled powers under Section 4, 5 and 6, Section 54 of the power to remove encroachment, Section 40, all these provisions which we have cited before the JPC are unchecked and unbridled powers which are in direct violation of Article 14, 15, 25, 21, 27. So therefore, this Act is unconstitutional. We have moved the JPC, we have also moved the High Courts. Around 100 petitions have been filed in different High Courts. The High Courts have issued notice to the central government. This Act itself is unconstitutional.
Okay, you are saying the Act is unconstitutional. That is like my exact question, that if it's happening under the aegis of the Act, is the Act illegal itself, or are you saying the actions are illegal as per the Act itself and the powers that it grants? But let me bring in Atikur Rahman on that note. These are unchecked, unbridled powers. They are in ultra virus of the Constitution. Please respond to this charge of Vishnu Shankar Jain, Atikur Rahman.
Madhav, the primary reason why this is being done, going district to district by people like Tejasvi Surya, like Islamophobe people, that they are losing confidence that the JPC might be giving a very different report as expected from the by the BJP government in Parliament.
On what basis are you saying this? Have you seen the JPC report, sir?
We should have faith in it. The JPC will be...
No, Mr. Atikur Rahman, I'll just request you on two accounts. You will call the... One second. Let's not... Please listen to my request before you respond. Do not call anybody Islamophobe. They will call you Hinduphobes. It will again lead to name calling and the debate will degenerate. And my request to you tonight is, let's keep our debate civil. And also, secondly, if you're jumping to conclusions about the JPC report, is it on the basis of some insider information? Have you seen the JPC report? Something that I as a journalist sitting in the national capital don't know about. How are you aware that this is the conclusion that JPC is going to reach?
So why this hysteria? Why does Tejasvi Surya going to the farmers when the JPC is inquiring about it? The JPC will be having a report, which we do not know what the report is. Which powers have been, given to Tejasvi Surya by BJP party going and mudslinging this in the name of Islam and Muslims. The primary reason, Madhav, is the Waqf board have nothing to do with the Muslims community per se. The Muslims community per se in the last 35, 40 years, 50 years have not gained anything out of Waqf boards. Now, why is the name of Muslims and Islam? Waqf board chairmen are the yes men of the chief ministers of the states.
May I ask you a question?
What I am saying is, before the parliament, debating upon this particular JPC report, why this hysteria on the part of Mr. Vishnu Jain or Tejasvi Surya?
Right. Let me ask you a question. And in fact, before I ask you that question, let me ask this to Syed Aslam Pasha. In the same vein, and I'm responding to the argument that you made, Mr. Atikur Rahman. Syed Aslam Pasha, there is a report in Karnataka by the Karnataka Minority Commission, as per the former Minority Commission Chief Anwar Manipadi, about a dozen senior Congress leaders. As per this report, and you can of course put out your own arguments, the allegation here is that CM Ibrahim, N.A. Harris, Roshan Beg, among several others, there's even an allegation against Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge that they were involved in Waqf encroachment. Now, the question over here is this, that if there are top leaders whose name has come in as far as misuse of Waqf, it's not a question of any one community. It's about the misuse of a particular provision of law. And that's what we are debating here.
Right. So, Madhav, I would like to give you a very typical example, right? I am not talking about Bharat Nyaya Samhita. I'm talking about this, the older system, legal system which we had. The section 302 talks about murder, right? If a person has murdered somebody, you will punish the person or you will punish the law. What would you do?
No, obviously we will punish the person, but if the law,
right?
But no. May I ask you another question? May I ask you another counter question to that, Mr. Pasha? There are several laws that have been found ultra vires of the Constitution as per Supreme Court's own judgments. So is it possible that certain laws require amendments from time to time?
My point is very simple. If somebody has done corruption in whichever form, in whichever act, or whichever, whether it is in Waqf or any other form, the people who are involved in corruption should be punished, right? I will give you a typical example. The person who was speaking just before me was, of course, the gentleman, he was so agitated, he was so angry, and so on and so forth. I just want to read how is Waqf land allocated? Sir, the Waqf land allocated by the following process. Once the Waqf land is allocated by any person in the name of religion or religious purpose and charity, a survey commissioner is appointed by the state government to identify the Waqf properties and prepare a list. The state government issues a gazette notification after receiving the list. If the property is not challenged for a year, then it is considered as a Waqf property. If the property is disputed, the judiciary will decide who owns it, and there is a tribunal which has been empowered to settle the issues. I want to understand, sir, where is the dispute? If the central government is so bothered about the Muslim community, they are so bothered about the corruption which is happening in the Waqf land and Waqf properties, you have to punish the people who are involved in it. It doesn't give you the right to bring in an amendment. And the second most important point, do you believe in the Constitution of India? The Constitution of India has given, the legislation has allowed the JPC to investigate. They are doing a report. Have patience, let the report come in, and then you can have your word. Why are you trying to bring in a communal?
Okay, you asked a question. You have a fair point. I want Vishnu Jain to respond to you now. Vishnu Jain, please respond. What is the need for this amendment? Let the JPC report first come in, and then we'll discuss it. That's a fairly reasonable claim coming from Mr. Pasha. Please respond to it.
I think my friend gave an argument of section 302, whether murder is an offence or not. First, we have decided that murder is an offence. So here we are deciding that section 40, I think he has not read section 40. Section 40, I'll just read for you. Section 40 is itself draconian. So if it is draconian, the acts which are done by virtue of section 40 are also draconian. So now please, sir, you have read section 4, 5 and 6, but you have not read section 40, and I'll read it for you. And I quote and unquote, the board may, Madhav, kindly appreciate, the board may itself collect information regarding any property which it has reason to believe to be Waqf property. And if any question arises whether a particular property is Waqf property or not, or whether a Waqf is a Shia Waqf or Sunni Waqf, it may after such inquiry decide the question. So the board will only, if it has reason to believe, inquire and decide the question. Now, if this is, I asked my London friend, he gave an example of section 302 of the IPC, whether this is an offence or not, whether this is unconstitutional or not.
Unbridled powers, that's the argument. Why should the Waqf board have such unbridled, unquestioned powers?
Exactly.
And also, let me add, is it not a fact, Mr. Saeed Aslam Pasha, if you feel that the law should not be tampered with, isn't it a fact that there was an amendment during the UPA regime as well, and multiple amendments before that?
So the government wants to bring the non-Muslims in the in the Waqf Act. I want to ask one thing. There are a lot of temples, trusts, and there are so many committees which are there. I will take a simple example of Padmanabha Temple. I'll take an example of Tirumala Temple, Tirupati Tirumala Trust. Would we allow a Muslim to be a trustee in that trust, sir? Would you allow that to happen? You are so, I mean, you want to bring in a secularism in the Waqf Act. You want to bring in the other arbitrators in the Waqf Act. Would you allow me to be I want to be a member of Lord Padmanabha's trust. Would you allow me that?
Actually, the argument of BJP is that has happened in certain very important temples, including Dakshineshwari and Tirumala. But yes, I'll let Karan Verma come in on that. Karan Verma, would you like to respond to Syed Aslam Pasha? He says, if that's not happening in the Hindu temples, why is it happening in Muslim Waqf boards? Would you like to respond to him?
Well, a burning example of that is Farhad Hakim, who was heading the Tarkeshwar Temple Board. And even the temples down south, communists who believe religion is opium of the masses are actually sitting on the boards of many of them. So, this argument falls flat on its face. Madhav, what Vishnu Jain just said, I mean, this is a law which at its core encourages land grabbing, and there is corroborative evidence to show that. Let me tell you some numbers. 2009, the properties under Waqf, there were 3 lakh properties. Today it has ballooned to 8.5 lakh properties. From 4 lakh acres, it has gone up to 9.5 lakh acres. Can you believe this? And the last time a JPC said something on that, it was K. Rahman Khan, who in 2006 said the Waqf needs amendments. It needs greater transparency and accountability. We are heading nowhere with it. In fact, the Sachar Committee report, which they quote time and again asking for reservation, the same Sachar Committee again asked for amendments in the Waqf. So this is typical textbook Waqf line grabbing what is happening, what Tejasvi Surya has pointed out. First they say, aapke paas kagaz kya hai, tribunal mein jayega. They act as if the tribunal is holier than thou. It is their own tribunal. And then, very eloquently, they'll come up with some emperor of theirs who went to drink water in that corner some 200 years back, and they'll claim it, this is Allah's property. This is the standard textbook of land grabbing that happens under Waqf every single time. But this needs to go. This is unconstitutional at its very core. This is against the tenets of secularism. But no other community has that power.
In the case of Karnataka, there are some Waqf board officials, Karan, and they are saying that it's possible that a few notices were mistakenly sent to farmers, the issue is being blown up. So has the due diligence been done in this case is a question that I asked at the beginning of this debate, and I'm repeating that question to you, Karan.
So what I have gotten to know till now, Madhav, is that from 1930 onwards, these farmers have been in possession of this land, and now they've been sent a notice from Waqf. And when you're sent a notice from Waqf and Waqf believes it's their land, then the onus is on you. It's against the principles of natural justice. Then it's the onus is on them. As my good friend Abbas also said, if they have the papers right. So they are going to judge whether their papers are right or wrong. And they've now sent a notice. So they are in dangerous waters, and the farmers sense that. So you can't be naive. I mean, Waqf has grabbed 2 times the property in the same fashion in the last 15 years. So we have to be kidding ourselves if we believe that this is an innocent letter sent to them. This is the first step of officially grabbing their land.
Right. And the point I'm making over here, Mr. Atikur Rahman, is this. There's a state government of the Congress in Karnataka. They can very easily verify whether these claims have been rightfully, wrongfully sent by the Waqf board, etc., or the farmers' injustice has been done to them. Why has that not happened? Because I believe they have already approached the Karnataka government and certain ministers for the last few days. Why has that not happened so far, Mr. Atikur Rahman, is a pertinent question in the context of this debate.
Madhav, the primary reason the BJP government voted this amendment, that there was no transparency and there were other lacunae, and the Waqf board needs an amendment. Whenever the courts, the judiciary, the Supreme Court and the High Courts in particular, in the temple trust cases, whenever they had adjudicated regarding them, is that remove the anomalies, remove the corrupt part, remove the corruption in the temple trust, and give them back to the temple trust. The same thing we are expecting from this amendment. Now, what is problematic in this amendment is there is a clause which says that if within 3 months a particular land is not established, that they have the paper showing it belongs to the Waqf, it will go back to the government. What does this mean? In this particular aspect, we say that this government has not clear signs and they want to grab the Muslim lands.
Okay,
and
the government wants to grab Muslim lands. There are other lacunae that have been pointed out, but I will ask Rohan Gupta an important question. Rohan Gupta, if this was a blatant violation, if those were amendments that were brought in during previous Congress regimes at the centre, why has it taken the BJP government at the centre 10 years to realize this? That's a fairly long period of time to have enacted any amendment to the law.
See, Madhav, you need to understand that reforms is a process. It cannot be done in a single day. And obviously, when government brought this bill, government understands this is a sensitive issue. So obviously, you cannot go to the people half-hearted. The issue, the core issue, Madhav, I want to discuss in front of your panelists. Are you against the idea of reforms or not? If you are not against the idea of reform, let the reforms take its own course. I think that the suggestions have been asked from everybody. Here, today's example of Karnataka shows how the Waqf board power can be misused. If Waqf board puts pressure, if Waqf board puts hand on particular land and the owner has to prove, just imagine, Madhav, for us poor people, for a poor farmer, proving that going to tribunal, there will be a lot of people who will not go and their land will go.
Right.
It is about the misuse of eminent power, number one. The reforms are about controlling that power, number two. It is not necessary that whatever is being provided by government, that needs to be accepted.
All right, Rohan, this is a very, very important issue, a pertinent issue, an issue that's certainly going to be debated up in Parliament as well, and all eyes will be on the JPC, what its findings are, what its suggestions are, will there be any dissenting notes within the JPC report itself. All of that is going to be subject matter of much debate. We certainly haven't heard the last word yet. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us: Rohan Gupta, Vishnu Shankar Jain, Karan Verma, Syed Asad Baz, Syed Aslam Pasha and Atikur Rahman. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening.